Welcome to the channel. Today we're uncovering 7 ancient money principles the rich never ignore. These aren't new theories or modern hacks. They're financial truths written almost a century ago in the book The Richest Man in Babylon, but they trace back thousands of years to the wealthiest city of the ancient world. So why are we talking about Babylon today? Because money hasn't changed. The rules that built fortunes in the desert still build fortunes today. What has changed is that most people don't know them, or worse, they ignore them. But here's the good news. When you apply these principles, you build wealth not by accident, but by design. So stay with me until the end because I'll also share a tool I built to help you apply these rules to your own life. Subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The very first rule of wealth in Babylon was simple yet powerful. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. Most people live in reverse. They spend on bills, rent, entertainment, shopping, and if anything is left at the end of the month, they save it. But let's be honest. Most months, nothing is left. This is why so many people work hard their whole lives but never build wealth. Rich people flip the script. They save first, and only then do they spend what's left. Think of it like planting seeds. If a farmer eats all his grain, there's no harvest tomorrow. But if he sets aside a portion to plant, he guarantees future abundance. Here's how to apply it today. Let's say you earn $3,000 a month. The Babylonian rule is to set aside at least 10%. That means $300 goes straight into savings or investments before you touch a single bill. The remaining $2,700 is what you live on. At first, it feels impossible, but soon, your lifestyle adjusts. You cut waste, get creative, and realize most of what you thought was essential was really optional. Over a year, those $300 deposits become $3,600. Over 10 years, without even counting interest or investing, that's $36,000 you've paid yourself. Money most people would have spent without even remembering on what. And if you invest those savings wisely, compounding turns that into 6 figures over time. The poor say, "I'll save when I make more." The wealthy know it doesn't work that way. If you can't save when you earn a little, you won't save when you earn a lot. The habit matters more than the amount. Even if you start with 5%, you're building the muscle of paying yourself first. So here's the takeaway. From your very next paycheck, set aside your portion first. No excuses. Treat it like a bill you owe to your future self, because you do. And once you've built the discipline to pay yourself first, the next principle becomes critical. Learning how to control expenses so you don't undo your progress by overspending what remains. The second rule of wealth from Babylon was clear. That which you keep must not be consumed by unnecessary desires. In other words, if you want to grow rich, you must learn to control expenses. It's not about being cheap, it's about being intentional. Most people let lifestyle creep devour every dollar they earn. The moment they make more, they spend more. A new phone, a nicer car, a bigger house. But here's the truth. You can't out-earn bad spending habits. As the book reminds us, a budget is your best friend, for it ensures that you do not spend more than 9/10 of your income. So how do you apply this today? Start by tracking where your money actually goes. For 1 month, write down every expense, every bill, subscription, meal, coffee. You'll be shocked how much disappears in small leaks. Once you see it clearly, you can separate needs from wants. Example, let's say you earn $4,000 a month. After paying yourself first, 10% equals $400, you're left with $3,600. Now, if rent and essentials take $2,500, that leaves $1,100 discretionary. Instead of letting that disappear unconsciously, you allocate it intentionally. Maybe $400 for investments, $300 for fun, $200 for travel savings, $200 as a buffer. Suddenly, you're in charge of money instead of money controlling you. And here's where a practical tool makes all the difference. Because it's one thing to understand the principle, but another to apply it consistently. That's why I am building the Trip to Wealth Command Center, a simple Google Sheet system that helps you track your income, cash flow, spending, and net worth in one place. It's not just a tracker, it's a strategy hub. It helps you see where your money leaks, where it grows, and how small changes compound into wealth over time. You'll find the early access waitlist link below. Here's the truth. Wealth doesn't come from making endless money. It comes from keeping control of the money you already make. And once you've mastered controlling expenses, you're ready for the next timeless principle of Babylon, making your money multiply. Because saving alone is not enough. The third rule of Babylon was this: make thy gold multiply. Saving is essential, but saving alone will not make you wealthy. Money sitting idle is like a worker asleep at his post. If you want freedom, your money must earn more money, just as an orchard tree produces fruit year after year. In Babylon, wise men invested their savings in trade caravans, land, or lending at interest. Today, the principle hasn't changed, only the tools have. Your savings must be set to work in vehicles that grow over time. Here's a practical example. Let's say you followed the first two rules. You save $400 a month and control your expenses. After a year, you've built $4,800. If you leave it in a checking account, inflation eats it away. But if you invest it, even in something simple like an index fund with an average 8% annual return, in 10 years, it can grow to over $70,000. Keep going for 20 years and it can cross $200,000. That's the magic of compounding. Think of your dollars like employees. Every dollar you invest is a worker you send into the field. Poor people spend their workers on temporary pleasures, never to return. Wealthy people deploy their workers into assets where they bring back more workers every year. But here's the catch. Not all investments are wise. Just as Babylon's elders warned against schemes too good to be true, we must avoid speculation, scams, or get-rich-quick traps. The goal is steady, consistent growth, not gambling. The key is starting early and staying consistent. You don't need thousands to begin. Even a modest amount invested wisely compounds into freedom. The earlier you send your money to work, the sooner you step off the treadmill of trading hours for dollars. As the Babylonian proverb says, "Let your gold multiply, and it shall labor for you, and its children shall labor for you, and your house shall be well supplied." And that takes us to the next principle. Because once your money is working, you must also protect it. Wealth built slowly can vanish quickly if you're careless. The fourth rule of Babylon was simple but urgent. Guard thy treasures from loss. It doesn't matter how well you save or invest if you leave your wealth unprotected. Many fortunes vanish not because people didn't earn, but because they failed to defend what they earned. Think of wealth like building a house. You spend years laying the foundation, adding bricks, raising the walls. But if you leave the doors unlocked and the roof unfinished, one storm or thief can destroy it overnight. That's exactly how money works. If you don't protect it, it leaks away or gets stolen by bad decisions. In Babylon, men lost fortunes lending to strangers, chasing risky caravans, or gambling on chance. Today, the mistakes look different but feel the same. Falling for scams, chasing hype investments, overspending on depreciating toys, or putting all your money into one shaky bet. Here's a modern example. Suppose you've saved $20,000. A friend pitches you a can't-miss business idea, promising to double your money in 6 months. Tempting, right? But more often than not, those shortcuts lead to empty pockets. The wealthy protect their money by following wisdom. Diversify, do your research, and never risk what you can't afford to lose. Practical ways to protect your wealth today include keeping an emergency fund so you don't liquidate investments in crisis. Diversifying investments, stocks, bonds, real estate, not just one basket. Avoiding get-rich-quick traps. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Ensuring what matters, health, home, income. As the book warns, better a little caution than a great regret. Here's the takeaway. Protection is not about fear. It's about wisdom. It's about making sure your years of discipline aren't erased by one reckless move. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far and want more topics like this, comment the word "more" so I know. Moving forward, once your wealth is protected, the next principle from Babylon shows how to turn money into stability for your future by securing income that will keep flowing even when you stop working. The fifth law of Babylon says, "Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family." In other words, don't just think about today, plan for tomorrow. Most people work as if the paycheck will always come. But what happens when you stop working? What happens when age, health, or circumstance slows you down? If you haven't prepared, you end up dependent on others or trapped by financial stress when you should be enjoying freedom. Think of it like planting an orchard. If you only plant for today's meal, you'll always be hungry tomorrow. But if you plant trees that produce fruit year after year, your future is secure. In ancient Babylon, the wealthy invested in land and businesses that generated steady income. Today, the principle is the same, but the tools are modern. Retirement accounts, dividend-paying stocks, rental properties, royalties, or even building a small business that runs without you. Here's a modern example. Imagine you're 40 years old earning $5,000 a month. You set aside $500 a month into an investment account, earning an average of 8% annually. By the time you're 60, that consistent contribution could grow to more than $300,000. That's a stream of security that your future self will thank you for. Add passive income from investments or real estate, and you've created freedom. The sad truth? Too many people wait until it's too late. They think retirement is far away, or they assume someone else will take care of them. But the wealthy know your future is your responsibility. As the Babylonians said, wealth that continues to provide is a tree that feeds you in old age. Here's the takeaway. Think decades, not days. Plant the seeds of future income now so that when your hands can no longer labor, your money is still working for you. And this leads perfectly into the next principle. Because to secure your future, you must also learn the most powerful wealth-building force of all, increasing your ability to earn. The sixth rule of Babylon was this: cultivate thy own powers, study, and become wiser, and so increase thy ability to earn. In simple terms, the most valuable asset you'll ever own is you. Too many people focus only on saving or cutting costs. But wealth isn't just about protecting what you have. It's about expanding your capacity to create more. And that begins with investing in your skills, your knowledge, and your mindset. Think of yourself as a machine. If you don't upgrade, you become outdated, stuck doing the same work for the same pay. But when you learn new skills, you expand your earning power. In Babylon, this meant mastering trades or managing land wisely. Today, it could mean learning digital skills, leadership, negotiation, or even financial literacy. Here's a modern example. Imagine two professionals both earning $60,000 a year. One keeps doing the same job for 20 years, barely keeping up with inflation. The other spends a few hours each week developing new skills, maybe coding, project management, or even real estate investing. 10 years later, the first person is stuck. The second has doubled or tripled their income. The difference? Continuous growth. The truth is, no investment pays greater dividends than self-improvement. Courses, books, mentors, certifications, or even side hustles are not costs. They're seeds planted for future income. Every skill you gain is another tool in your wealth-building toolbox. As the Babylonians taught, the man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded. So here's the takeaway. Stop waiting for opportunity. Prepare for it. Grow your skills so that when the door opens, you're ready to step through. And once you've increased your ability to earn, the final principle ties it all together. owning something of your own, a foundation that gives both stability and pride. The seventh rule of Babylon was practical: own thy dwelling. In the ancient city, rent was money thrown away. It enriched landlords but left families vulnerable. Ownership, on the other hand, provided stability, pride, and a foundation for wealth. Now, this principle is often misunderstood. It doesn't mean buying a mansion you can't afford. It means securing a home that builds equity instead of draining your income. For centuries, property ownership has been one of the simplest paths to wealth, because while rents rise, a fixed mortgage stays steady, and over time, property usually appreciates. Think of a home as both a shelter and a financial anchor. If you pay $1,500 a month in rent for 20 years, that's $360,000 gone forever. But if you put that same money into a home, a large portion of it builds equity that belongs to you, something you can leverage or pass on to your family. Here's a modern example. Imagine buying a modest $250,000 home with a fixed-rate mortgage. Over 30 years, you'll likely pay less than a renter whose payments keep rising with inflation. Plus, by the time you've paid it off, you own a valuable asset, one that might now be worth $400,000 or more. That's not just shelter, that's wealth. Of course, timing and location matter. The wise lesson here isn't buy a house at all costs. It's prioritize ownership that makes financial sense. Avoid being house poor. Instead, aim for a home that provides stability, security, and long-term value. As the Babylonians taught, a man with his own roof overhead shall live in greater contentment. And with this principle, we complete the circle. But before we close, let's tie it all together in the conclusion, because these rules are only powerful if you act on them. And there you have it. The 7 ancient money principles the rich never ignore, drawn from the richest man in Babylon. 1. Pay yourself first. 2. Control your expenses. 3. Make your money multiply. 4. Protect your wealth. 5. Ensure a future income. 6. Increase your ability to earn. 7. Own your home. These rules are thousands of years old, yet they remain timeless because human nature hasn't changed. People still overspend, chase quick wins, ignore the future, and fail to invest in themselves. But those who follow these principles, steadily, patiently, consistently, build wealth that lasts. Here's the challenge. Don't just watch this video and nod along. Apply one principle this week. Even a small step, saving 10%, canceling wasteful expenses, or investing in a skill, can change your financial trajectory. And remember, knowing the rules is only half the battle. Applying them daily is the real key. That's why I created the Trip to Wealth Command Center, a simple but powerful Google Sheets tool that helps you track your savings, spending, net worth, and investments in one place. Think of it as your modern tablet of Babylon, a record that keeps you accountable and shows you exactly how your wealth is growing. You'll find the early access link in the description. As the Babylonians wisely said, better a little caution today than a great regret tomorrow. So, which principle will you start applying today? If you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Drop it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next wealth-building strategy. Until next time, stay consistent, stay wise, and keep building your fortune.